we go. Nice to see you properly now. You can see your face. So
Oh,
oh,
is that?
disappeared. I love it. So yeah, tell us a bit about the Ghostwriter House. So Fort Worth, Texas, we know. But tell us a bit more about the house itself.
So my wife and I always loved these older houses and always wanted to own one someday. I mean, never knew if it was in the cards. But my wife brought me into this house, and we were looking the fall of 2023, and we were looking at a couple houses in this neighborhood. We were living in a town called Frisco, Texas at the time, which is like 45 minutes to an hour from here. But my wife brings me to this home, which was built in 1911. It's a craftsman bungalow, and it originally was a boarding house. So in 1911, when it was built, it was rented the back bedrooms are all rented out. And actually, 5 out of the 6 people that originally lived in this home in Fort Worth were from Indiana. Let's see, Metamora, Indiana, a town called Daleville, Indiana, and a town called Anderson, Indiana. So my wife and I are also from the Midwest, so more Midwesterners down here. We moved to Texas in 2010, but we did live in Cincinnati, Ohio for a long time, where we met in high school, got married, had 3 children. And yeah, so here we are. So we bought this house, and the first night we moved in, our dog, who's sitting right over there, would not sleep in our bedroom. In his dog bed, which he would do in all the other places we had lived in, with him. So that was kind of odd. He would actually come out to this room where I'm sitting right now, where he's laying right now next to me every night, and we couldn't figure it out why. So we were kind of a little freaked out at first, but luckily we know the reason he's out here is because the energy is actually more of a positive, loving, kind, warm, protective energy out here in this part of the house. And that's the energy I felt before I knew about the 5 people that passed away in the home. So after we had some paranormal experiences, that's when I started researching the history of the house. And that's when I found out, about the 5 people, and then the crime stuff on the street, and all of that stuff that I ended up researching is what turned into the book by the author Jennifer Brasington Crowley.
Wow. So when you first went to the house for the first time, did you feel anything, or did you just feel? Yeah, you did.
I did. So when we lived in Ohio, I was working full time. My wife was working full time. We had 3 children in daycare. My wife got a job promotion, and so she had to start traveling. So we just kept me home because my salary was covering basically childcare. And but at the time I was at home with the kids, I was writing comedy for a radio station in Cincinnati. And the guy I wrote for actually retired in 2007. And that's the year I went out and got this 4-leaf clover tattoo on my wrist. Just because at that point in my life, I figured I needed luck to get another awesome job like that. It was my dream job. But also that I was lucky to be able to stay at home with my kids, because a lot of parents can't afford to keep a parent home with the children. So I was fortunate in that matter. But jump forward to this house. When we first walked in, I felt this connecting energy, like an energy I'd never felt in my life. And it was a warm, protective, loving, kind, I felt like I was walking through the door to come home, even though I'd never been in this house before. Almost like deja vu, but different. I did think of reincarnation at one point of this whole thing, but it doesn't fit because the guy that passed away in 1977, and I was born in 71. But anyway, so when we moved in here, the dog wouldn't sleep in the bedroom. I started researching the history, and I came across the 3rd person in the house who had passed away in the house's history, and his name was Harold Monroe. And Harold was a former writer, and he passed away right where I'm sitting here on St. Patrick's Day in 1977 at 11:11 p.m. So I was also at a point in my life where the kids were out of the house. They were all grown. So for the past couple of years, I'd been kind of floating around trying to figure out what I should do with the rest of my life. I could have just gotten a job anywhere for the sake of getting a job, but I really wanted to do something that I felt had some kind of purpose or meaning, So coming into this house, finding out about Harold, I didn't take that as coincidence. I took it as a sign and I started doing all the crazy research and really got into the history of the house and then the neighborhood and then Fort Worth and then the Comanche who used to roam these lands back in the day and yeah, now I'm back writing again, like I had the passion for when I wrote for Gary Burbank, but now I'm writing with Jennifer Brasington Crowley, and we're doing horror as opposed to me doing comedy. And it literally changed my life. I've already outlined the second book. We have probably like 7, 8 books planned total, side projects, movie scripts, all kinds of stuff. So it's keeping me really busy for sure.
Like it.
Really exciting though, isn't it? It's like really exciting stuff.
Yes.
Movie scripts, though.
Sorry, bear with me.
Oh, that's all right.
That's the diabetic alarm going off.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so what your house is, it's absolutely stunning. It's really, really nice. Did you decorate it yourself, or was it like that when you moved in, or?
It was completely white when we moved in. Every wall, all the ceilings, no additional woodwork that my wife did. She kind of saw this house as a blank canvas for her to kind of decorate and try to take it back to what it might have looked like in 1911, at least in our minds, because we want people to feel like they're stepping back in time in this house and yet feel comfortable enough to be able to put the feet up on the couch and not worry about making us it's very cozy and we really wanted to recreate that feeling of coziness. I'll tell you what, I'll take you around and show you all.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
I know you want to stare at my beautiful face all day, but sorry.
You need to find the cat as well, wherever the cat is. Because every time I come on one of your lives, I always see the cat and.
Oh, the cats! Yeah. All right, so I gotta flip this back around. Let's see what I do here. I think. No, wait, no, not that. This right here. The thing that says flip. All right, that will work. All right, so here we are. So this is the TV room.
A minute.
Put your camera back on.
Did I get it?
Yay! Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Sorry.
No, it's
I'm still learning how to use the TikTok machine. It sucks getting older. So anyway, I can kind of take you on a little tour if you want. Not a problem. Okay, so this is like the family room. Everything you see here, like that's the original front door. These are the original hardwood floors. That's a player piano I bought to bring in just to kind of add to the ambiance of the place. And it's fun to play it. I like to play it on the lives when I do the tours and all that. But this wall was actually added in 2023. This used to be just one big room. I burn incense all the time. Sorry about that. So this is smoke, not spirits going around through the. So yeah, so this is the original like family room area, and it was all one giant room. So of course, by the fireplace is where they would have had the furniture around. And you see the pocket doors behind here, and they all used to be natural wood, but over the years, a lot of people painted, unfortunately. So we just added to the paint and changed colors because stripping these things back down is. We did this one; it took us a couple months, but you're like dealing with lead paint and all kinds of stuff. So hopefully someday I'll sell a lot of books and I can afford to pay somebody to do it. You know what I mean? So. But we use this as like our television room now. This is also the area where Harold passed, right? Where he's laying is where Harold passed away on St. Patty's Day in 1977. And the dog, this is like the dog's safe room. Like he loves sleeping here. My other dog, Molly, now sleeps here every night. And it's just I don't know what it is with this room, but also the medium and the paranormal investigators talk about a portal right here where the closet is, and then on the other side. And we've had experiences on both sides. So, like in this room is where I heard somebody whisper hi. So I like to think it was Harold Monroe, but it might have been Walt. Walt's another spirit in the house that's pretty active for sure. So, so here you go. We use a lot of antiques, obviously. Most of the antiques we have are from the 1850s to about the 1940s, and then we stop about the 40s. So anyway, this is like the office area. That's actually my desk. It's from the 1850s. It's the most unfunctional desk ever. So And then in this room, this is where Martha passed away, Harold's wife. She passed away on Halloween in 2009 at the age of 90. Her couch was right there. And he passed here, she passed there. So very close together, all those years apart. And, I thought it was kind of interesting that there's a history of a lot of holiday passings in this house. We had St. Patty's Day, we had Halloween, we had the day after Christmas, day after Groundhog's Day, but that doesn't really count. Groundhog's Day is kind of lame. So, but anyway, so that's this is the front part of the house here.
It's nice.
It's really, really tastefully done, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it's a really good taste going into that.
And having the floors as well. That's good.
Moving into the dining room. This is the original chandelier. These are the original hardwood floors again, right here. That's actually from England. That buffet came from England. It's a barley twist leg. It's from the late 1890s, early 1900s, I was told, and it fits perfectly in the house. These two chairs also are from the mid 1800s, I think 1830s, but it could be a little later than that. That's the chair of George. He is a 5-year-old spirit, according to the medium, who sits in this chair every time he comes here. We don't know if he's attached to the chair. She says he is, but I don't know. He's 5 years old. His name is George. He's from the middle 1800s, supposedly, is what she thinks. But I just found out a few weeks ago, for the first time in my wife's life, she found out she had a great uncle who passed away by getting kicked in the head with a horse back in the early 1900s. And his name was George, and he was 5 years old when he passed. So I need to talk to the medium about that when she comes back in June. Yeah.
That's a bit strange, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of that in this house. A lot of bit strange. There's a lot of what I say, people would call coincidence, but when you have so many on top of so many, at what point do you stop saying it's a coincidence? I don't know. It's definitely wild. Hey, Raven Watch, welcome in. Hey, I got some people that watch me over my channel jumping in here. I love that. Yeah, if you guys can post, tap the screen, share the live, and show some love for True Hauntings, our friends over across the pond, that'd be fantastic. So this is the kitchen. This is the original butler's pantry. Now, originally in the kitchen, there was a door right here. So the door, you could close the kitchen off. Back then, kitchens were for cooking, not a looking. So they didn't put the nice floors back here. They put the cheaper pine floors that, get marked up very easily. We actually took out the tile that was brand new when we moved in and brought it back to the hardwood. So got that exposed again for the first time in a long time. And then this is the original sink right here. In the original spot, it always has been. So it's kind of cool to have that. Back here, this was originally a little breakfast area. There was a little breakfast table back here. But the washer dryer is the first, and we're the first to have a washer dryer in this house. And it's 2023 was the year it was added. So we could hook up our washer dryer when we moved in 2024. Pretty lame laundry room. I know it's pretty small, but it's just my wife and I, so I don't really care if you can see the washer and dryer, and you know what I mean? Like, whatever.
No drama, is it really?
Yeah. And then of course coffee is very important to me. So this is a little coffee bar that we have, and microwave, and just kind of try to make it an extension of the kitchen back here. But also hide away the microwave so it's not on the counter all the time, and save some space, because this is a pretty small kitchen. The house is 1,633 square feet, and in American standards that's very small. But for us it's more than enough and perfect. And we have a guest room, so when guests come they can stay, and it's all good for sure.
In English standards, that's a mansion. So
yeah, exactly. It's so relative, and we live in Texas too. So of course, everything's bigger in Texas. So yeah.
I think I want to move to Texas.
I'm ashamed of my little house in big Texas. All right, so let's go on out to the hallway here. This is the back part of the house. Now again, this was a boarding house in 1911, so every room was rented, and that's why they have a door here. So whoever owned the home at the time could lock the tenants in the back. They'd have access to the bathroom. There was originally one bathroom. It's 3 beds, 1 bath. And then they'd also have access through a hallway through the bathroom, or a door to the third bedroom to the kitchen, so they all could get into the kitchen and have access, and still have access to get out as well. My bedroom actually had a door in the bedroom that went to the side of the house, so they could get out and get the horse and carriage and be on their way. So we did have a carriage house in the back that was actually condemned by the city of Fort Worth at some point in its history, so it's no longer there. But we are going to do a metal detecting of that at the next investigation, which is going to be, I think they're coming the 13th, we planned on. So it'll be fun. All right, so come on back to the back part of the house. Now, 3 people passed away in this part of the house. 2 in the front, 3 back here. And this is the earliest passing in 1914 in our bedroom. But this was, again, a 3-bedroom, 1-bath boarding house. So each unit got its own little storage area here, 1, 2, 3. I'd hate to be the one on the top. The 3rd bedroom people probably got the one on the top, because this was the first choice. This was the primary room that you'd want. You notice the nicer wood floors. Then the second choice would be our bedroom. You got the pine floors back here, but it's still a nice bedroom, decent size. And then, sorry about that. And then back there was the 3rd bedroom. But in 2023, the guy that renovated this home turned that into our bathroom and then added those old doors. So now we have an ensuite bathroom. That's why we picked this bedroom as opposed to going with that one. But here you go. This is the master bedroom.
That's gorgeous. I like that.
The first passing in this home was January 18th, 1914. His name was Elisha Morford. He was a former Union soldier for this in the Civil War for the Indiana 68th Regiment, specifically Company C. So a Union soldier passing away down here in Confederate lands in 1914. Although the war, of course, was long over by then, there still was probably a lot of animosity between North and South. Now, the next person to pass in the house, this is where it gets crazy. Her name was Anna Lubbock Kennedy. And Anna Lubbock Kennedy was a Confederate, not just any Confederate. She was the daughter of Thomas Saltus Lubbock, who the town Lubbock, Texas is named for. And Thomas Lubbock co-founded Terry's Texas Rangers. They were the 8th Texas Cavalry who fought for the Confederates in the Civil War. And guess who they ended up battling? Elisha Morford's Indiana 68th at the Battle of Chickamauga, which is the second bloodiest battle in the Civil War next to Gettysburg. So welcome to the bedroom. Pretty wild, eh? So I think I'm going to call this we're applying for a plaque from the state of Texas in the next couple of years. I held off because I'm trying to think of what I want the plaque to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be called the Morford Lubbock House. And we're going to talk about the Civil War history in the home. Not talking about how they passed away here, but just talking about, who her father was and how Terry's Texas Rangers fought Elisha Morford at the battle. I think that's a pretty interesting thing to throw on a historic plaque for people to read. So I think I'm going to stick with that one. But there's also Harold Monroe, the writer, who I told you about. He passed away. He used to write for the New York Times and the Fall River News, where you would see Lizzie Borden as a older woman. I got all kinds of stories, man. But so welcome to the now bathroom, but this used to be a bedroom, but it's also known as a sleeping porch. So this house was rented as a boarding house. So they actually rented the sleeping porch out as a bedroom, but some houses would have used this as a proper porch. You got the windows there, maybe a couple rocking chairs, but this was always rented as a bedroom, but now it is our bathroom. So welcome to the bathroom.
That's massive.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's this shower is pretty nice. I get to, when I come in here, I sing a lot of Eric Clapton and do a bunch of dancing. I have a lot of, I used Eric Clapton for you guys, so I don't really listen to Eric Clapton.
It's very clean.
Yeah.
It's stunning.
Oh, thank you. My wife told me I needed to clean the shower doors while she's out of town, so I did finish my task of cleaning the shower doors. So, and then of course the
You did a
toilet.
great job.
Yeah.
There's the
Now,
throne.
This is kind of cool. I found when I was doing research on the house, I found an article, or I found a for rent. I told you this was a boarding house, so I found a rental ad for our bedroom, and this is it from 1916. So. In 1915, in December, there was a lady that lived here named Viola Evers who passed away of colon cancer at the age of 39, not in the house, but 2 weeks after she left the house. And she was at her sister's in Daleville, Indiana to say goodbye one last time. So after she passed, a lot of people moved out, basically. It kind of ruined the whole plan that the families had from Indiana down here. But this ad was placed May 27th, 1916. It says newly papered, southeast room, sleeping porch adjoining, connecting bath, unfurnished or newly finished, to couple or lady employed. Breakfast if desired. Yeah, so I thought that was cool. We could put it back here. I also have an ad for a piano that was for sale in this house that I'm going to blow up and put in a frame and put it on top of the player piano that I just bought. I thought it would be kind of cool to display that. So we try to honor the history of this house, you know what I mean? Like as much as we can, in any way we can. So that's the bedroom. Now let's go to the bathroom. This is the original bathroom.
As well, isn't it? You can see very clearly that you have honoured the house and its past, which is lovely.
Yeah.
So the only thing original about this bathroom would be the tub. It's a cast iron tub from 1911, originally on this wall over here, but it was moved in 2023 when he kind of did some renovations, and it makes more sense the way he did it. He actually did a good job of getting rid of the old layout, which was kind of weird, but not too much. He didn't get rid of too much, but this is the cast iron tub right here. I'm soaking it right now because my cat took a horrific power dump in here earlier. So yeah, we got 2 litter boxes, and the cat still takes horrific power dumps in the cast iron tub.
Power dump.
Guilty party right there.
That's so cute. The cat's been following you.
Hello.
Yeah, she. Come here. You want some water? There you go.
Oh, what a
But
sweet
we designed the bathroom again to try to look like it might have looked like back in the day. You know what I mean? With just make it look like it fits into the decor of the home. So, and then that's pretty much the house. I mean, that's pretty much it. Now, since we've lived here, we have heard whispers. My wife heard the voice of a man say, "Hey," in here. The paranormal investigators, the first 2 times they were here, the first was in November of 2024. They captured a whisper of somebody saying, "Hey," right here as well. And then the next investigation, months apart, they came back and they caught another "hey" here. So 2 whispers they caught. My wife heard the voice of a man say, "Hey." So it's not "get the hell out of here." It's "hey," it's "hi." It's not "I'm going to throw you into the drywall tonight and choke you out at 3 o'clock in the morning if you're not careful." It's "Hey, what's going on, buddy?" You know what I mean? It's like, I call it more like the Casper house, but in the book Ghostwriter, Jennifer turned it into the Conjuring house. So, like, I would not live in the house the book describes at all. No, not at all.
Emma, Zoe, have you got any questions? Because I just realised I've been talking quite a bit.
No, what would you say has been your most inspiring moment that you've added into your writing that you've had in the house?
Wow, that's a great question. I try to put a lot of it in. So, being a comedy, when I wrote comedy, I like to push the envelope. I like to go and try to push boundaries. And, unfortunately, with censorship in the world today, that doesn't really fare well as a comedian. I think going to the horror was a really easy transition for me because I love to be creative and get outside my head. It's like being an actor almost, and you can try to think of all these just different crazy scenarios and what would work and what wouldn't work and that kind of thing. But the main inspiration was definitely, the connection with Harold. I feel like he connected with me to not only, get me back into doing what I have a passion for and hopefully, create a lot of good for a lot of people. I love the independent community. I love independent creators, and I want to stick with the indie community and not really go up to a big publisher. And I kind of want to do it on my own and bypass all that junk because it's like a pay to play system. It's not really that great to, people always think it's like, oh, you get a publishing deal and everything's great. And it's just like, no, basically they give you a big loan that you have to pay back by your book sales. And, so it's not always, the grass isn't always greener, when you think it's like the fame, and that's not my goal. Isn't to be like that. My goal is to actually do something organically through like the indie community and people like you, and coming out and talking to everybody who has an interest in the story, because the story is really, to me, what's the fascinating part. So I know I'm kind of not really answering the question, but there's so many bits of inspiration that we used. We in the prologue, for instance, I found an article about a drunk couple that were on a horse and buggy behind us in the street behind us in 1911 on January 15th. And the guy was dragging the lady by the hair, and she was kind of like trying to keep up behind the carriage on the street. And so people saw this, and she was passed out, I guess. or barely conscious, and they thought she was unalived. So, but it turned out they were both drunk. But in the prologue of Ghost Rider, I have a reverend who gets a lady of the night pregnant in Hell's Half Acre, which is a real place that's 2 miles from here that doesn't exist anymore. And but then he gets her pregnant. She wants to come forward with the news to his family because she's tired of hiding it. And so then he freaks out. He unalives her, but he's bashing her head behind the carriage as he's dragging her by the hair. Like, wow. You know what I mean? And as she's doing that, or as he's doing that, she's cursing the street and cursing the church and cursing the neighborhood and cursing so that's kind of where the evil pulls in from for the backstory. And we drew from real reality with Hell's Half Acre and that carriage story that happened on the street behind me. So I can go through so many examples of what inspired certain parts of the book, but it would seriously take forever because honestly, I need so much inspiration. Like, if you know about the crimes here, also that inspired the story. So next door, this isn't a crime, but there was a man named Sam who unalived himself in the backyard in 2017. On the other side of our house in 1911, a 16-year-old named Irene Lauterbach passed away of typhoid fever in her home when typhoid swept through the area. 2 houses down from ours in 1998, an 18-year-old unalived his grandmother, and the police found satanic symbols in the house.
Wow.
A couple doors down from that in 1999 across the street, a couple in their 60s were unalived, and that case has never been solved. It was like a brutal home invasion. 12 houses down from mine in 2020, a 4-year-old was unalived by her mother, who was hearing a voice that said if she didn't do it, something worse would happen to her. So the mother unalived the daughter, put her in a garbage can in the backyard, called 911 to report her missing, and the mom's in jail right now for 50 years, which is basically life. Then I found out 3 houses down this way in 1921, there was a couple renting the house, waiting to get their house built. They were pretty wealthy. Name was Floyd and Alma Holmes. And Alma was having an affair, and Floyd found out about it. So his driver took him downtown Fort Worth. He confronted the guy and unalived him. Then, so he got arrested, put on trial. His wife Alma stuck by his side through the whole trial. He was found not guilty. And then about 7 years later, is on a trip to Los Angeles for business and passes away of meningitis. And then about a decade after that, in 1942, his wife Alma moved into this place called Forest Park Apartments, which is called Forest Park Tower now, over by the zoo. Beautiful old building. And she lived on the 10th floor. And she put a mattress up to the top window in her unit, scaled to the top of the mattress, and then jumped out the 10th story window and passed away at the age of 53. The 3 houses up from Floyd and Alma's on the corner in 1923. It was originally a 4-unit apartment complex that exploded and destroyed and damaged several homes on my block. And then also in 1914, there was a 15-year-old named Ray Roberts who was going hunting with 2 friends at a farm called the Shaw Farm. And they decided to cut through the Frisco Yard, which is a rail yard behind that White House. There's a street, and then the rail yard's right on the street. And Ray climbs up on top of the boxcar with the thing he was hunting with, and it went off, striking him in the head. So he falls 10 feet into the ground in front of his friends, passes away about 30 minutes after he hits the ground. But one of his friends ran to my home, and this home did have a phone. And the servant of the house at the time, his name was Frank Wise, is the gentleman that called the ambulance for Ray. And Ray is one of the spirits we believe to be in this house every now and then, who has quite the affection for my wife. And then the house on the corner, right behind the apartment home that exploded, the house directly behind it on the street behind me. And that's where I'm researching for my next book. In front of that house in 1919, a 3-year-old was run over by a trolley car and unalived. And inside that house in 1930, a 60-year-old man and his wife lived there. And just before retirement, he passed away in a really bad house fire. And one of the causes the fire department was looking into was that he could have possibly spontaneously combusted. So,
are you sure you want to live around there?
I was just thinking, I think I've changed my mind. I don't want to move to Texas.
Well, thank God.
I'm kidding.
We feel like this house is the light in the darkness. And the reason we feel that way is because I feel that, I talked about that protective, loving energy. Now, what's interesting is I didn't believe in mediums at all before all of this. I mean, I didn't want the medium to come to this house, but the paranormal investigator, Rose and Joe, who actually, you talk about the stockyards, Rose used to give ghost tours at the stockyards. And I just met her randomly on Facebook. I was kind of reaching out to paranormal groups to see if somebody could come and try to validate what we were experiencing, and also, see if you feel like everything's cool here, like we do, which they all did. But when the medium came, I was very, very skeptical. So my mind was completely shut down. And no joke, when she walked in the door, the first thing she started talking about was something called an elemental right here. So my mind completely shut down because I didn't even know what that was. And then I started like thinking about it. This land used to be Comanche Indian land. Okay. So the Comanche were here like the late 1600s. You know, when the settlers came in, you know, the Homestead Act, and they got free land, and it wasn't really their land. They were just going around surveying whatever they would survey.
They just took it. Yeah.
So the Comanche would unalive the surveyors, and then the Texas Rangers were formed to protect first the surveyors from the Comanche attacks, but then also, oh my gosh, you guys there you go. Look at that. Nice. Is that me or you? I don't even know what's going on here.
I have no idea. But thanks everybody to whoever it is or whatever it is, but that's great.
It's awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
I sent it to you, Laura.
But the Comanche, you know, so then the Texas Rangers would fight the Comanche. The Comanche would raid the settlers and unalive the men and the babies that were men, so they could not fight in the future. They would take the women, sometimes unalive the women. And then the Army came in then to Fort Worth and established Fort Worth as an outpost in 1849. So the Army then came in to also protect the settlers. So you had a lot of skirmishes all over where I'm standing right now, you know. And then, of course, throw in Hell's Half Acre, you know, later on, which is the red light district from literally hell. I mean, it was like it was a very, very violent Wild West town. A lot of really crazy stories out of Hell's Half Acre too. And again, I'm about 2 miles from there, so not far. Just a lot of history with this land. But the elemental theory would be that the elemental is here to protect something on this property. And so when the house is built, then the elemental immediately protects whatever's in the house and protects it's a theory that people have thrown out there, and it does kind of make sense, but to me sounds completely insane. But I'm getting used to the insanity of all this. So, you know what I mean? My mind's been opened a lot more. So I'm like, well, why not? Why couldn't that be a thing? I guess it could be a thing, because I don't believe in curses per se, but now I'm really starting to think if there was any place on earth that was cursed, I mean, it seems like this whole neighborhood and just this whole area is just cursed with darkness.
It's definitely had a lot going on, hasn't it? For sure.
Yeah, I'd say that and more.
Wow.
I love how you've got cat balls lying around all over as well.
I do. So when I do the lives, it's fun. I was hoping that they'd go off, but sometimes I'll just be telling the stories of either Martha or Harold, and then they'll actually start lighting it up, like they're acknowledging you're talking about them, and then you'll be like, "Hey, is this Martha?" And then it might light up if you ask who it is, and yeah. So it's like I think we have about 7 or 8 named spirits that we've come in contact with in the house since we've lived here. But it seems like there have been a lot more that walk through the house because the medium talks about a portal being over here. So I guess I understand it like it's just like a pathway. So it's like there's a lot of traffic through this house of just different souls. And I guess that's the way. I don't really understand the whole portal thing. I'm not an investigator, so I just kind of learn from when the paranormal investigators come here and tell me stuff. So I do my best to kind of explain it to you, but you guys probably know way better than me. You guys do all this investigation and stuff, right? So you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, and you probably have had experience with all that stuff. So
it's certainly interesting. What's the thing that's happened in the house that's like, I wouldn't say scare you, because obviously, like you mentioned, the spirits, whatever's there are nice, but what's like happened there that's been wow?
My wife seeing a dog bowl spin in the kitchen was pretty wow. Me hearing somebody whisper hi was definitely one of those moments. Me hearing that sound, that dog nails on the wood floors. I heard the dog nails of supposed German Shepherd named Sasha. We named it Sasha. We didn't know the name of the German Shepherd, but every time the medium would come here, she would talk about this German Shepherd in the kitchen. And so I told you, he won't sleep in our bedroom. So he now has to sleep in bed with me to stay in the room. So my wife was out of town one night, and she's out of town a lot for business. It's why I ended up a stay-at-home dad. She's still traveling for business all these years later. So she was out of town. It was like 8 o'clock at night. Of course, I'm ready for bed because I'm 54. So I'm like, yeah, bedtime. 8 o'clock. Woo.
Well, before you go any further, I have been told off today for that, because I think Laura thinks I'm the only person in the world that loves to go to bed.
Oh, really? I love to go to bed. Oh my God.
See, it's not just me.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's amazing. But
And
I'm
I'm
trying
5 years off 54, so there you go. And I
okay.
still like to go to bed early.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, you know. Although everybody on TikTok calls me lame because they like when I do the tours at night, but I always do in the day because I'm always ready to go to bed at night. But I did one last night, and I'm going to do another one tonight. By God darn it! So I'm going to stay up later tonight too. But I was fading bad last night. You can just tell, like you can tell when I'm fading when I stop talking. But anyway, so I came in here to turn on the porch light that evening, and you know the it was dark and everything. And as I turned on the porch light, I turned around to go back to bed, and I heard those dog nails on the wood floor, literally right behind me. And of course, I'm confused because my dogs are in the bedroom. So I turn around expecting to see I don't know what, but there was nothing there. And I like then went into our bedroom because I'm like, oh my God, you know, what the hell? And like, are my dogs okay? Or what was that? Or so I go into here, and of course my dog's sleeping on the bed. And my other dog at the time, Molly, was sleeping in her cage. She's a rescue, so that's her like safe spot. But that's another weird thing. One day she decided she did not want to be in her cage anymore and was freaking out. So we let her out, and then she went to sleep in the front part of the house, and that's where she sleeps every night, in the front room, where Miles would sleep if I put him on the floor every night. We didn't let Miles stay out because he was walking in, getting me up at like 4 a.m, trying to get early breakfast. Molly's cool, and she stays out and doesn't mess around. She doesn't come in and try to wake you up, so we don't, put her back in the cage. So, but it's always that room, and that's the room where Harold and Martha both passed, basically. And we found out from their son not only how kind they were in life, especially Martha, but that they were both huge, huge dog lovers.
Oh, wow. Your pets are so cute, I have to say.
They are.
Yeah.
They're all very cute. I love
This
it.
is
Every time I go
Mabel.
on the lives and they're on. It's just
Yeah.
the cutest.
She used to live under our house when she was a stray. She woke us up in October of 2024 fighting another cat under our house. And she was skinny and scared and starving. And we could not get her out from under the house. But about 2 weeks after she was down there, my daughter coaxed her out. And I'm like, oh my God, she loves you, Emma. And I'm like, you should name her. And so she named her Mabel. And then we started feeding her, and one thing led to another, and of course now she's taking horrific power dumps in my guest room. I told my daughter to name her, so she named her Mabel because she connected with Mabel. And then my wife was at this antique store in our neighborhood. We actually have an antique store, like a salvage store, in an old Piggly Wiggly supermarket. This used to be the neighborhood. You'd have the supermarket and like the coffee shops and everything. It was all like in the neighborhood. We still have a little bit of that, but back then it was like, much more common. So that's the old Piggly Wiggly. But my wife was in there looking around, and she saw a stack of postcards, and she noticed the top postcard, and it said Mabel. So she was like, oh, and she definitely had to buy that. So she bought it. And I think it's a sign, again, that Mabel had to be here for a reason. Actually, Mabel came at a great time in my life. Because I was pretty depressed after my 15-year-old dachshund passed away, Toby.
Oh.
So it's a long story, but it's another really weird.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like my tiny Tim. I carry him around with me.
We're all suckers for pets.
Oh, definitely. They're like children to me.
Yes, yeah, definitely better than people, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
100%.
100%. Joy was just asking in the chat where you are. So it's Fort Worth, Texas. Oh, there we go.
Yes.
As I said it, so that was perfect. So I joined one of your lives the other day, and you were saying that there's always a really nice sort of feeling in the house, and there's nothing really scary in there.
Yeah.
And you said you were thinking about possibly writing a book about what like the actual whole truth of what's happened in the house, rather than
that was part of the plan. Originally that was my idea, but when I went to Jen and proposed that, I'm like, this is an amazing true story, and she's like, yeah, it's a great story, but it's not enough to really fill a book. And it's like, how would they even know? Like, So she's like, look, she's like, it sounds to me like we should do something in the horror genre because you literally live on freaking Elm Street. Your house is actually haunted. Your house actually is haunted by a writer who is like basically calling us to write this book together. So like, yeah, let's do it that way. And then when she used the inspiration of the 3 true crimes that I told you about, the little girl, the couple, and then the grandmother.
Yeah.
So when you read Ghostwriter, you'll notice the inspiration from those stories. And I got that from the newspaper. I didn't do any deep dives into the true crime stuff because I literally live like on the block, and I don't really want to know if it's any worse than what I just read in the newspaper. But what Jen did is just then took that and crafted it into something darker. So then when people now, like, that's why I love doing these TikToks, because I can tell the true story behind the book so y'all can see how special it really is. And but I would love definitely to someday write a book about the book and really get into the weeds and some of the connections that I've made with little town. I mean, I could talk to you about these weird connections for like 5 hours. I could go, it's a lot. Like, it's crazy, like towns and well, for instance, Springfield, Ohio. My dad grew up in Springfield, Ohio, and there was a man that was arrested who was renting my bedroom in this house. He was from Springfield and buried in Springfield, and my grandparents are buried in Springfield. Not the same cemetery. That would have been crazy. But the guy's name was Harry Hagerman. So a Springfield guy down here. And Anderson, Indiana was another one of those towns where Viola Evers, who lived here from 1911 to 1915, she was born in Anderson and buried in Anderson. She lived here again from 1911 to 1915, but passed away at the age of 39 of colon cancer. Went home to see her sister for one last time because she knew she was going to pass. So she had to say goodbye to her daughter, her husband, her brother, her sister-in-law here at this house, take the train, stay with her sister in Daleville, and she did pass 2 weeks after she left this house. But Anderson, Indiana is a place I was very familiar with because my aunt and uncle met at Anderson City College back in the day, got married, had a family. And my uncle literally just sold his house in Anderson a few years ago after my aunt passed away. So Anderson, Indiana, what a weird little town. Also, the former Union soldier that passed away in my bedroom in 1914, he was born in Claremont County, Ohio. And when I lived in Cincinnati, I lived in Hamilton County, Ohio, literally about 5 minutes across the bridge from Claremont County, Ohio. And my dad was a school teacher in Claremont County School District. So I don't know. It's just like so many of those little things put together on top of one after the other.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Joy that's on now, she was just saying that she's picking up on a lady that passed away in the house, and it makes her, Joy's abdomen hurt, which obviously she's now just said, oh, it's her. Joy comes into our lives, and she's a lovely, lovely lady that is our medium when we do our investigations, and she helps us out a lot. So she's obviously picking things up from your house as well.
Nice. Interesting. I actually love when we have mediums pop in, because sometimes, like, and who am I to say, oh, this person's lying or this person's not lying? Because it's like I kind of learned to be just more open and really start listening to what they're saying, because a lot of times they hit the nail around the head and they don't even like how do you know, like, wow, like yeah. So I really listen, and that's interesting that she says that, because but she did pass at 39 of colon cancer. She is a residual haunt in the kitchen. She's seen pacing just back and forth between where the original stove was, which was a wood burning stove, and then this right here. We think it's an imprint of her energy when she knew she had to say goodbye to her family one last time, and she was just in distress. Back and forth, she just knew. I mean, and I know that she knew she was going to pass, because in the article I have with their obituary, it talks about that. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, Joy had been saying that a couple of times, and I was going to mention the comment, and then you told the story, and then she was like, "That's her." So that was really good.
Yeah, your cat there. We're just like staring as if to say, "What are you doing?"
I know.
It's so cute, man.
What's going on here? Like,
Minnie's the other stray cat. So she came 2 weeks after Mabel started eating here. Then she found the food as well. then Minnie was the only cat Mabel would let stick around this house, though, because Mabel took possession of the house immediately by peeing on stuff and marking her spot, but she let Minnie go through with the pass. So Minnie got to stay, and so now they're both in the house forever.
I think, to be fair, you could probably just do a live TikTok watching your cats.
Yeah, I'd tune into it, definitely.
They're pretty cute, I will say.
They're just watching and they're just intriguing to look at, aren't they?
Yeah, actually, calicos, I didn't realize calicos are actually 99% of calicos are all female. So if you ever get a male calico, that's a rare thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Calico, it's a type of cat.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are white with the orangey face.
All right, like a tortoise shell.
Yeah, like Mabel.
We call them a tortoise shell.
No, because
Kind of. Anyway, moving on. We're not here to talk about cat breeds, are we?
So I think there's people probably in the chat who haven't read your book. So do you want to just give them a bit of a synopsis of what happens and to go onto Amazon and buy it?
Yeah, because
I'm going to buy it.
Yeah,
let's do it. Can we do a book club on it, please?
I think we do. Yeah,
that would be great, actually. It's funny because you wouldn't think just by looking at this, if you didn't know the history of this book, like there's really, what would you talk about? Well, I think if you just read it as a standalone book, it's really good. But when you know the backstory, it makes it just that much better, man. I think I worked really hard on combining the two, so you don't necessarily know what's reality and what's fiction. So that was a part of the goal of the book. But it's called Ghostwriter by Jennifer Brasington Crowley. She is the author. I'm the creator and co-author. So what I did is I kind of came in with the research, in which you obviously know I've done some research. And Jen had all the research, and then we came up with the backstory with the curse. So that the first part, I told you there's some truth. The first part is in the locations and the carriage thing, but that's complete fiction. We needed a backstory. The backstory is that this land is cursed, and that's why the people do the things that they do on the street, is because they're basically possessed by evil. And then that's what happens to my character in the house. And he becomes obsessed with becoming a bestseller because he's going to be like, he's going to take care of his wife and he's going to be the man. And, it's just like, and I understand those emotions because it's like when you're, a stay-at-home parent, you always want to seem to contribute more financially. And it's like, how do I do that? When I'm taking care of the kids. So it's like, so he had some of that, like he was going to prove himself to his wife, and that's why he becomes kind of obsessed. But it mirrors my life story, like with the starting when I started writing comedy in Ohio, and it kind of picks up from there. So, but it's it's historical fiction horror, and so Ryan O'Connor is my character. He finds a mysterious manuscript in the attic, which I hated to do that because I thought it was so cliche. I told Jen, I'm like, that's like freaking like every other movie. Like, oh, wow, he finds a mysterious manuscript, And she's like, no. She's like, listen, it's going to be cool. And I'm like, okay, fine. So she makes the mysterious manuscript say Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. And when she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. That's what I find. I find basically like, the character's name's Andrew. That's who's based off of Harold Monroe, the writer who passed away here. And again, Harold Monroe, the real writer, did see Lizzie Borden in the flesh being taunted by school children, saying Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. So that's what I find. But then it turns into something completely different when it starts taking a turn where Harold was writing he was going to write a book about the street, about like, and then that's what I kind of was trying to finish off what he was going to do by writing that book. And but he didn't make it to write the book. And do I make it to write the book? I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? But so I'll read the description to you. When Ryan O'Connor and his family moved to Fort Worth, Texas, they thought they found the home of their dreams. A struggling comedy writer, Ryan finds new purpose in a mysterious manuscript discovered in the attic. But as he uncovers the dark history of his house, street, and those who lived there, curiosity turns to obsession. And Ryan learns that on Henley Avenue, the dead don't move on, they move in.
Ooh. That's really good though. I'd buy that book.
When are we going to?
No, but I mean, if I want, if I read that on the back of a book, I would get it.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
it sounds good.
Do y'all want to listen? Do you want to listen to the prologue really quick? Do you got time?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got time.
Oh, okay. So I hate reading in real life. which Jen hates scary stuff in real life. I swear to God. And it's so funny that this book even happened because like I've never written a book or knew how to go about it, but I wrote comedy and like I said, the kind of transitioned pretty well to horror. But I know so much more now for what I'm going to do for the next one that I don't have to we already have the backstory now. So the second one's going to be a lot easier and I already have it outlined. I already have the story.
Just show you that. That's my next listen in the car tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. Okay.
I'm actually going to get that. I'm going to listen to it on my way to work.
So I think we do a team book club like Zoe suggested, and then
I have to have the physical book and I have to touch and feel it.
Same.
We have, and so for the physical book, we have now 2 versions. I have a paperback, and then we just came out with a brand new hardcover edition with new artwork on it. When I hire people, I hire real human beings. I hired my son Jake, who's a really talented musician and artist, to do the art and also the audio recording. Then I hired a lady named Stephanie Betchart who did the narration, and she's an independent. She's a stay-at-home mom. So I felt, and you know what? I found out she has a 4-leaf clover tattoo. No joke.
Wow.
I found her randomly on TikTok. Her voice stopped me in my tracks. I'm like, wow, this would be great, like an audiobook, sound. Because I was looking for, because I hate reading, I have to listen to stuff to really pay attention. But I also need sound effects. Because I was listening to my wife was listening to The Shining, and it was just some guy reading it. And I'm like, okay, I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess, but wouldn't it be nicer to have some freaking eerie music in the background and really try to draw you in, right?
Yeah.
All right, so here is the prologue. I'm going to go ahead and play this for y'all and see what you think.
Prologue. Fort Worth, Texas, January 15, 1911. Eleanor Perkins had to pee. At exactly 3:17 a.m., she woke with a full bladder and cold feet. The embers from the bed warmer her mother had stuffed between the mattresses had long burned out. Eleanor, being the youngest of 5, was always last in line to receive the coal to warm her bed. Divided among them all, she received merely a few cinders. It wasn't usual for her to wake up cold. What was unusual was for her to wake to a dark, quiet house. With nature calling, she slipped from the comfort of her snug bed and felt the sting of the hard wooden floor under her bare feet. Her mother always tried to convince her to wear her thick woolen socks to bed, but she hated the feeling when she slept. Her feet often sweat in the night, and she likened herself to a cat or dog, sweating from their paws. But now as she walked down the narrow stairway, teeth chattering, she was beginning to see her mother's point. The dirt path to the outhouse started at the back door from the kitchen, but a noise from the front of the house tickled the hairs in Eleanor's ears. "Mama?" she whispered. Someone was out front, wooden wagon wheels crunching on the gravel road. It was too early for her father to be on his way to the city for work. Not before Mama was up making breakfast. Maybe Mama needed bacon from the butcher and was hurrying to the shop before Daddy woke up. Putting her need to relieve herself on hold, she hurried to the front door. Maybe if she was quick, she could ride with Mama to the market. The market was always an adventure. But when she flung open the front door, it was not Mama in the cart with their mare at the reins. Nor was it Daddy on his way to the city. It was a man, someone Eleanor recognized immediately. Her family listened to him preach every Sunday at Holy Trinity Church. Reverend Ronan Grady. He lived on the corner, and now he was hurrying past the house, his cloak trailing behind him on the wind, one hand on the reins, a horse as dark as night pulling the good Reverend's cart with a steady clop. The man's other hand grasped around the blood-red hair of a corpse of a woman as if the devil himself escorted her to hell. Eleanor could hear the woman sputtering, crying, "Let me go! You'll kill the baby!" "It's not my baby, you whore." The Reverend seethed between gritted teeth, keeping his grasp on the woman's long hair. Eleanor's eyes widened at his coarse words. "It is your child growing inside me, Ronan Grady." The woman growled, struggling to break free from his grasp. You know it is. With an angry hand, he shook her, her feet scrambling to catch on the cobbles under her shoes.
You shut your filthy mouth,
he snarled.
I won't have you ruining my good name.
Curse you, she cried. Curse your wife, curse your goddamn church. Her voice grew fainter as her skull ricocheted over the wheel, leaving a trail of blood and brain matter in her wake. The final words Eleanor could make out from the dying woman's breath were, "Curse this wretched street and all who live here." Eleanor stepped off the front porch and ran down the road, following in the shadows as the carriage came to a halt near the edge of the lake. Hiding behind a bush, she strained her eyes in the moonlight, where she could make out Reverend Grady's silhouette, lifting the limp woman from the ground. "He's going to save her," she whispered to herself, so proud to see the clergyman doing the Lord's work. However, he neither revived her nor prayed over her, but rolled the woman's lifeless body into the water.
A witch you were.
His voice a whisper on the wind.
The devil take you back where you came from.
He spat in the water. When he turned back toward his cart, his eyes met Eleanor's and he froze. She ducked out of sight, but knew it was too late. He had caught her staring right at him. Eleanor found herself without air to fill her lungs. She knew he'd come for her next, drag her behind the carriage until her skull broke apart, then toss her in the watery grave as well. A carted horse was fast, but she had a head start. On her hands and knees, Eleanor shrunk to the grass and crawled far from the road before righting herself. She sprinted toward her house, the sound of the Reverend's horse on her heels. Fearing for her young life, she ran as fast as her feet would carry her, her lungs burning as she gasped for breath. When she reached the house, she tripped on the front step and knew he would grab her from behind. So she was bracing herself for his steely fingers to wrap around her ankle and yank her away. When it didn't happen, she scrambled to her feet and fumbled with the doorknob, throwing a hasty glance over her shoulder. He was at the house now, leaping from the wagon, the sound of his heavy boot steps echoing off the trees and cobbles. Eleanor tried the door again, this time keeping her grip and turning the handle, spilling into the foyer. She didn't get far, though, as the Reverend's hand yanked on her hair and he spun her around to face him. She paled when she saw the gun in his hand, the gun he aimed at her face. A scream lodged in her throat, unable to escape as her voice had frozen along with her feet.
What did you see?
He snarled, shook her with his vice-like grip. No, nothing, she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper.
Lies!
He spat, keeping his voice low, aware of the home's sleeping occupants. She trembled. I won't say anything, I promise, she pleaded with him. Reverend Grady's hand trembled as he placed the barrel of the pistol against her temple.
I wish I could believe you,
he said quietly, tears filling the corner of his eyes. Eleanor's did the same. Her heart ached, and it beat so hard in her chest that she believed she would die from it before he could even pull the trigger. Unable to shut her eyes, she stared into the man's face, his pupils dilated, almost absorbing the entirety of his brown irises. She imagined the loud boom of the barrel, her parents running to see their little girl's body, dead on the floorboards, her blood staining the wood red. As she stared, the Reverend dropped the weapon to his side, and relief washed over her. The relief turned to panic, however, the blood draining from her face and turning her skin as pale as a ghost, as Reverend Grady brought the barrel to the side of his head and pulled the trigger.
Oh, calm down, Ronan.
Hot blood spattered her face, and Eleanor put her hands to her mouth to stifle her scream. But she couldn't stop the puddle that escaped her bladder and pooled around her bare feet.
All right, there you go. There's the prologue. Y'all like
I
it?
wasn't on mute.
Yeah, it's fabulous. I completely forgot we were on a live for a second till I heard Zoe. And then I was like, oh.
I thought I was on mute.
Yeah, make sure you got the earbuds in when you listen. I
Really
prefer
enjoyed
the
that.
over-the-ear headphones, and you're in a nice, just relaxed state. And just try to just really just listen. And we did use a lot of sound effects from my real home in the book. So like ticking clock.
Wow.
You'll hear the ticking clock. You'll actually hear my Victrola play in the book. And actually, you'll hear it play Alexander's Ragtime Band, which I do actually have Alexander's Ragtime Band for my Victrola that we found at the same antique store. We found the Mabel postcard, and I was looking for an Alexander's Ragtime Band record because it's in the book. And the reason I chose it for the book is because it was published in 1911, and I heard a really creepy version of it with this guy. You know, like back in the day, the people always sang like "Schmang, mang, schmang, 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 schmang." You know, they always had that weird creepy vibe. You know,
nasally kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So like it was like that. So I'm like, man, this would be perfect for like the book. So I think it goes off on the Alexa at 3:17 in the morning sometimes, and then another song by the Limelighters called "Take My True Love by the Hand." Goes off on the Alexa, and the reason that goes off is like it's like a weird backstory that could be a separate book, but the Reverend actually did have feelings for the prostitute, really kind of fell for her, and did get her pregnant. But then, like, you know, so the lyrics of "Take My True Love by the Hand" is "Lead her through the town, say goodbye to everyone, goodbye to everyone," and that's like when he's leading her through the town, basically unaliving her. And it's like I get into the weeds with a lot of weird stuff like that, but. So here's the Victrola right here with the Alexander's Ragtime Band thing from the book. If y'all want to hear it, do you want to hear a little bit of it really quick? I got to get rolling here soon, but
yeah, go on, just show us a little bit of it. Yeah.
All right, let's crank it up. Now, the way you played these, that's actually one song. You'd actually have to. This is a 1917 model, and you have to hand crank it. So right now I'm on borrowed time because the clock is ticking. Because you basically have to crank it after every play, and then the needles only last usually 2 or 3 plays. So it's here we go. And then this is how you control the volume: opening the doors or closing the doors. Honey, can you turn it up? I can't hear. Usually you tell me to turn it down.
Oh, my honey, yeah, better hug me and let me in. Ain't you going? Where you going? Ain't you going? Where you going? To the leader man. Ragged music man? Oh, my honey, why? Oh, my honey, why? Let me take you to Alexander's Grandstand. Ain't you coming along? Come on and hear. Come on and hear. Alexander's Ragtime Band. Come on and hear. Oh, yes, come on and hear. Oh, yes, it's the best band in the land. Can you play the beautiful chord like I never heard before? Why, it's so natural that you want to go to war. That's just the best and whatever. Honey lamb, come on along, come on along. Let me take you by the hand. Up to the man, up to that man, who's the leader of the band. And I would like to hear the Pony River playing ragtime. Come on and hear, come on and hear, Alexander's Ragtime Band. Oh, my honey, well, oh, my honey, well, there's a fiddle with notes that squeaks like a chicken, like a chicken, like a chicken, oh, you chicken, and the clarinet is the quartet. Come and listen, Joe, come and listen, Joe, to a classical band, what teaches long now, long now. Better hurry along. Come on and hear, come on and hear, Alexander's Ragtime Band. Come on and hear, come on and hear, it's the best band in the land. Can you bring it to the floor like I never heard before? Why, so natural that you want to go to war. That's just the best and why honey lamb, come on along, come on along. Let me take you by the
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool. You
I
don't get to
love that.
listen
Yeah.
to
No.
kind of, well, play them something so old, do you, so often.
It kind
But
of
yeah,
sets the tone in the house too. It's a lot of times the music sparks activity. I don't know if you guys have found that, but we found that a lot in this house. Music always is being played in some way, shape, or form in my house. True story, really quick. I absolutely hated Willie Nelson my whole life with a passion. I moved into this. I always thought it was like, almost like a. He's not like the 1920s, like smang, mang, smang, like, but he was more like this, smang, mang, smang, like, and I just couldn't stand it. And but I moved into this house, and for some reason, I felt compelled to start playing Willie Nelson music, and I started listening to it. I'm like, I actually kind of like this. This feels good in this house, man. And my wife walked in one day and caught me listening to it. I was trying to sneak listen to it, and she's like, "Are you listening to Willie Nelson?" I was like, yeah. She's like, I thought you hated Willie Nelson. I go, I do. And but so I listened. He was my #1 artist in 2025 on Amazon, or at the A Word, listening. And we love playing Willie Nelson in the house now. And I found out a few months back that one of Walt's favorite artists, of course, was Willie Nelson. So Walt, again, is the man that passed away in the home in the guest room on February 3rd, 2023 at the age of 86. So I've learned a lot about Walt's music taste from my neighbor. Also that he was a Bing Crosby fan. He liked 5'2" Eyes of Blue. Apparently he likes Faithfully by Journey. We do a lot of experimentation with music back there to see what's, when we play all different eras too. That's the great thing about this house. You got everything from 1910, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, it gets to a point where you're like, you kind of have to stop. So I always feel guilty when I play like Pantera and stuff like that in the house, like, I'm sorry, but it's my house too. So, hopefully someday somebody's going to play Pantera and then I'll light up the cat toys for them.
that's it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's really, really good.
But yeah, thanks so much for sharing your lovely home with us, and talking to us about the book and your experiences. We've loved every minute of it. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
But we are now going to go away. We're going to read the book and have a little book club. So if anybody in the chat wants to join the book club, we're going to read the book and then we're going to invite you back to talk about it.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I've been wanting to do this with somebody, and thank you for I think there's another person that's doing this too, but I didn't hear back from them. So I'm so excited to I want you to read it, and then and there may be things I need to ask Jen, hey Jen, what the hell did you mean by this? So it's always like a learning experience for me too. And I love to tell the backstories because there's so many of them, and you're just going to be like, oh my God, that's wild. Yeah. So thank you so much for having me. I super appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today.
Thanks for coming on.
We do as well.
Thank you.
And anybody who's not following Al, please, Ryan, please drop him a follow. And
Join the book club.
Join the book club. Yeah, let's get as many people as we can to read the book, and we'll definitely come back and do another session.
All right, and I'll tell Jen. I've been trying to get Jen to do these, and she doesn't have time. So I'm kind of in charge of marketing for the book. So it's I do this for her, but she always wants to say thank you to everybody is any opportunity that she can. So thank you so much, because it means a lot to her too. This is actually her first horror novel ever, and I told you she hates scary stuff in real life. So this was a pretty hard challenge for her, especially working with an idiot like me. So
Well, I've got it downloaded, so I'll be starting it tomorrow when I'm out at work.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear back. All right, y'all have a good afternoon.
To do both.
Yes.
I'll read first and then I'll listen, I think.
All right.
Yeah,
have
thanks
a great
a lot.
afternoon, y'all.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys.
Speak to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.